All right, good morning. What I have here today is the notes that you should be copying down for Algebra 2 for the 8th and the 9th of class. And what we're going to start with is factor by grouping. So what I want you to do is pause this video in just a second and go ahead and copy this down into your notebooks. You're going to use up the entire space with this T-chart. So use your entire page to create this T-chart, fill in the steps, and then after you finish filling that in, you can come back and I'll start the examples. So again, pause and write your notes. Okay, so at this time you should have written down your notes and you're ready for the examples. So here's the steps for parentheses method. Both of these methods will work for the same, factoring these same problems. It's just whichever one you choose, it works best for you. So the one on the left, parentheses method, is your straightforward, normal way to do factor by grouping. And what you do is you separate your terms into two groups. So if you notice, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. So I'm going to separate it into two. Okay, so now I've got two groups. Now that I have two groups, I'm going to factor out the GCF of each group. So looking at this first parentheses, I look for what's the greatest common factor. What do they have in common? Well, I can take out a 5 from both of these. And I notice they both have an x, so I can take out an x. When I do that, I have to fill in what would go inside. So let's start with the numbers. I know 5 times 2 would be 10, so I need 2 inside. And then x times x will get me back to x squared. So 5 times 2 gets me back to 10, and x times x gives me x squared. Now the next one, plus 5 times 1 will be back to 5. And then x, it's already an x here, so I don't need another x. So there we go. We just factored out 5x from both of these. All right, now the next one. Same thing. I look for the GCF in this parentheses. The only thing they have in common is 2. Now the signs, we got to watch their signs on the second one. You always take the sign of whatever's in front. So I'm going to take out a plus 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then 2 divided by 2 will be 1. So if I take out a 2, I notice I have left over 2x plus 1. Hopefully what you notice is that these now match. If they don't match, you did something wrong. Most of the mistakes people make is their signs. Watch your signs, okay? So now I'm ready for my step 3, write my answer. What I do is I put these together into one parentheses, 2x plus 1. In the second parentheses, I put what's left over, 5x plus 2. And now I factored that, okay? All right, the second method is the box method. It's going to do the same work. It's just going to look differently in the way we do it. So for this one, we first create a 2 by 2 box. So this method, you're creating a box, 2 by 2. Okay. And you fill all these terms in. Now the order doesn't matter, but I'm just going to go in the order I see. So 2x cubed, then minus x squared, the positive 4x, oops, I forgot my positive, and then the minus 2. All right, now what I get to do is I'm actually going to look at one row or column at a time. So I'm going to look at this row right here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I've got to find the GCF. So what do these things have in common? Well, the only thing they have in common is an x. And particularly, they both, I can take out an x squared from both of these. So I put an x squared on the outside. Now I'm going to look at the next one, this one here, and I look at what they have in common. So 4x and negative 2, I can take out 2. The GCF there is 2. So I'm going to put 2 on the outside. Now I've got to go the reverse direction. So now I got to go up and down. So now I'm going to go this direction here. What do these have in common? So looking at them, it looks like I can take out a 2 from both of these, and they both have a x I can take out of. Now, what's nice about this is you can check and make sure you did it right. Here's how you check. 2x times x squared is 2x cubed. Good. 2x times 2 is 4x. Good. Good so far. Now the next one. So I'm going to go this direction now, up and down. And I'm going to see what they have in common. So these two, looking at them, well, this one doesn't have an x, this one doesn't have a number, but they both have a negative. So I can take out at least a -1. You can always take out a 1. Okay, guys? You can always take out a 1 if you can't take out anything else. But in this case, I can take out a -1. So now let me check. X squared times -1. Whoops. Yep, that's -1x squared. So I didn't mean to say whoops. I said yes. And then -1 times 2 is -2. So it checks out. I've already checked my work already. So then my answer will be 2x minus 1, whatever's at the top, times x squared. Now I don't have a sign there, but technically it should be positive 2. Okay. Back here I didn't check it, but if you wanted to check it, you would plug it into the box and multiply and make sure it gets you back to the original. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same problems again, but this time on the other side, so you can see that it works both ways. So rewrite. Alright, so the method on the left, I split this into 2 groups, 1 and 2, and I look for the GCF. So looking at what these two things have in common, the only thing I see that they have in common is a x squared. So I take out an x squared. When I take out x squared, I'm still left with a 2x here, because x squared times 2x will be 2x cubed, minus, now here I'm only left with 1. There's nothing else left. For the second one, the GCF here is a 2. You take the sign of the first one, so plus 2. Now what I'm doing is technically, if you're not understanding what I'm doing, is I'm dividing by what I just took out. So now this will be 2x minus 1. You notice that these two are the same, so we did it right. Our answer will be 2x minus 1. And then the leftover will become our second parentheses, x squared plus 2. Alright, so if you notice, it's the exact same answer over here. Alright, so this one on this side, I'm going to do the box method to show you you're going to get the same answer, so you can choose whichever method you want. Draw my 2x2 box. Label everything inside with all the terms. You should have 4 terms. Okay, and I'm going to go back and put my signs, because your signs matter. Watch your signs. Okay, and now I'm going to start with this row right here. What do they have in common? I noticed 10 and 5. The GCF there is 5, and they both have a x, so I could take out a 5x. This one, I noticed what they have in common. Their greatest common factor is going to be 2, and that's it. No letters there that are in common. Now I go the reverse direction, up and down. Alright, 10 and 4. The GCF there is not 4, but 2. I can take out 2 from both of those, and I can also take out a x from both of these. Here's how I can check. 2x times 5x is 10x squared. 2x times 2 is 4x. Alright, now this one. What do they have in common? Well, 5 and 2 don't have any greatest common factor except a positive 1. So again, you can always take out a positive 1. So let's check. 5x times 1 is 5x. 1 times 2 is 2. So then my answer is 2x plus 1 and 5x plus 2, which again matches exactly what we got up here. Okay, so those are 2 ways you can factor by grouping. The main important thing here is that you know how to do GCF, greatest common factor. Okay, if you don't, YouTube some videos on how to find GCF. Alright, so that's it for that page. The next page you need to copy is this. So go ahead and pause and go ahead and copy this down. Alright, so after you finish copying this down, here's the information. Okay, so what we have here is perfect squares. So when you have perfect squares, you're going to get to follow this. Now, the thing here, though, it has to be subtraction. So you have to see the difference. If it's addition, it does not work. Okay. You also only see 2 terms, so you only see a binomial. Alright, the steps. Step 1 is to always check for GCF. Always check for a GCF. Then, step 1 will be to find the square root of a and b. Next, plug in a and b. There's a formula for this type of problem that I'm going to write in just a minute. And then lastly, you want to check your work. You check your work by multiplying. Now here's the formula for these. If you see a squared minus b squared, then you can make it equal to a plus b and a minus b. Or vice versa, a minus b, a plus b. Alright, so the example here, 81 and 36. I try to figure out if there's anything I can factor out. I know 81 is 9 times 9. 36, well, it looks like I can actually take out a 9 because 9 goes into 81 and 9 goes into 36. That's going to be the hardest step possibly for people. So I can take out a 9. When I take out a 9, I'm left with 9x squared minus 4. Okay, taking out a 9, dividing by 9 technically. So 9 times 9 is 81 and 9 times negative 4 is negative 36. So I've done my GCF. Check. Now I've got to find the square root. What does it mean to square root? Is to figure out what times what will equal 9x squared. Well, hopefully y'all know 9 is 3 times 3. X squared is x times x. Do the same thing here. What times what is 4? 2 times 2. So now I'm ready to write my answer. This is my A. This is my B. So my answer will be A, 3x plus B, so plus 2. And then 3x minus 2, because the formula is a plus b, a minus b. So now that I broke it up, I found my a and my b. Alright, the next example, I try to figure out what they have in common. Now, because these are pretty big numbers, 32 and 72. Now, 32 and 72 do have a common factor of 8. So when I take out 8, I'm left with 4x to the 6 minus 9y to the 4th. Okay? So I've done my GCF. Now a lot of the times you won't have a GCF, but sometimes you will, like these examples. If the numbers are big, make sure just start dividing. Okay. Now I have to figure out what times what is 4x to the 6. So let's talk about the number. What times what is 4? Well, hopefully you know 2 times 2. Now I have to break up this x6. Now if I'm breaking it up into 2, I've got to break it up evenly. So that would be x cubed times x cubed. Okay. Same thing over here. I've got to break it up. What times what is 9? Well, 3 times 3. Now I've got to break up this y4 evenly. So it's got to be y2 times y2. Alright, so now I just figured out my a and my b. So it'll be 2x cubed plus 3y squared, and I'm sorry, I'm running out of room, times 2x cubed minus 3y squared. Okay, so it's plus and the minus. All right, those come in handy a lot with in the third 9 weeks. We're going to use that a lot. All right, there's going to be one more video, a second video that's going to have the worksheet, the brown paper that y'all picked up today. Will be on the next video.